What's up, guys? Super excited to be with you this morning on a Sunday. We're calling this Spiritual Sunday. Spiritual Sunday. My name is Thomas. I am one of the coaches here at Body Culture, and this could be something that really helps you out going forward in the week. So rather than hype it up for a lot of movement and intensity, we're going to tone it down today. Something I've actually been wanting to do a really long time was to create Spiritual Sunday. But this is, I guess, what you can call perfect timing for this to take place. So I want to start off first with just saying, love you guys. Hope you're doing very well wherever you are in the world right now. The weekend has been a really calm, really quiet experience. And I think you guys can say the same, I'm sure. But it serves two purposes, right? One is, a lot of times during the hustle and bustle of the week, a lot of us are obviously still working, a lot of us aren't, but still working. The weekend is usually a time for having a lot of fun, about going into it and experience it with the joy and love of doing the things that you're passionate about, doing the things that you want to do with your friends and your family, and sharing in that and creating deeper connections overall rather than rushing through it because, I have to get as much as I possibly can done before the week starts. I think this time is also a really great time for a lot of people out there to reassess their lives, reassess everything that's going on. I've been hearing from a few people around the world stating that they didn't think that something like this would shift their brain into a place that would make them think or even come to the realization that the certain structures that we have in place in terms of work life can be so stressful that you never ever will be doing the thing that you might not want to be doing with your life, right? A lot of you might be working from home and you're gaining 2 hours now out of your day, which means all the world because you can work from home rather than having to suffer through the commute into the city. I think it's important for us to definitely always focus on what it is that we want to be doing, because it's really important for your immunity, it's important for your brain health, it's important for heart function, because a lot of the stress that's created heart to your body as a whole. So let's bring it all in together. Keep that in mind. Stay strong, speak up and stand out and stand up for things that you know are wrong. And when you can't push against those power structures because they're just too big, ultimately change your world and change your reality. So speaking on changing your world and changing your reality, there's a really great book that I read about a year and a half ago when I was on my own journey to trying to achieve higher levels of God consciousness. And it's called Buddha's Brain. It's a really great book. The practical neuroscience of happiness, love, and wisdom. What I really loved about this book is the science they brought into the meditative and spiritual aspect of life. And they back it up so much with a lot of different reviews and studies that have actually been done on our brain when it comes to empathy, love, stress, meditation, where our brain goes when we're in meditation, during yoga, during focus. So I want to start by reading an excerpt for you. The headline, the title of this portion of the book is called Negative Trumps Positive. Now hold on, stay with me. We're going to get to the movement stuff in a bit. And if you're watching a replay, you could fast forward through this. But negative trumps positive. So negative events generally have more impact than positive ones. For example, it's easy to acquire feelings of learned helplessness from a few failures, but hard to undo those feelings even with many successes. So you can see this in a study that was done by Seligman in 2006. People will do more to avoid a loss than to acquire a comparable gain. Another study done by Baumeister, 2001. Compared to lottery winners, wouldn't we all love to win the lottery? Compared to lottery winners, accident victims usually take longer to return to their original baseline of happiness. Another study done by Brickman, Coates, and Janoff Bowman in 1978. Bad information about a person carries more weight than good information. Another study done by Peters and Kopinski in 1990. And in relationships, it takes typically about 5 positive interactions to overcome the effects of a single negative one. Another study done by Goatman in 1995. So why would I read about negativity to you on our spiritual Sunday? Well, the reality is that negative trumps positive, and it's just how we are wired. We're wired that way because we are threat-seeking organisms. And if you're just tuning in, don't stress out. I'm going to be getting to the movement part in a bit. And as threat-seeking organisms, we're always scanning our environment to make sure that we can protect ourselves from whatever it is that's about to jump out, grab you, and pull you into the jungle. We just live in a different type of threat-based society, right? Our threats are different. During this time, we're experiencing a threat of a higher magnitude that might be impacting the entire planet. And outside of that, we have various threats that we sometimes just overlook and we become numb to, and we keep kicking the can down the road until it's too late. So there are things that you must do in order to prevent your brain from going to its threat-seeking mechanisms 24 hours, 7 days a week, and bring those parts of your brain into a place of positivity. And it's not just about being positive, it's about keeping your brain clear of the muck so that you can make the decisions that you have to make so you can thrive, be successful, feel positive, be motivated, and continue to move forward in this thing we call life, right? So let me read a little bit of neuroscience for you, and then we're going to get to the movement in a second. The brain's capacity to learn and thus change itself is called neuroplasticity. Usually the results are tiny, incremental alterations in neurostructure that add up as the years go by. Occasionally, the results are dramatic. For example, in blind people, some occipital regions designed for visual processing can be rezoned for auditory functions. Study done by Begley in 2007. So essentially what it's saying is that our brain is neuroplastic. By thinking and performing specific exercises, we could change the plasticity. We can change the function of our brain, seeking higher levels of God consciousness. I went to the TM Foundation, Transcendental Meditation, not that far from our location here in Jersey. And I wrote on the application. I paid a little over $1,000 to go through the process. I went through the process. I learned how to their form of meditation through transcendental meditation. And in that time, one of the guided meditations that I had, it was such a out-of-body experience, very difficult to describe and put in very scientific words at the time before reading this book, Buddha's Brain. But at the time, it felt like I was in space and I was just in an abyss and it was all black. And when I started to realize that I had gone somewhere, I became conscious that I had gone somewhere, I was out of it just as quickly as I had gone into it. And it was amazing. And then I became fixed on trying to achieve it again. And then I learned that chasing this is kind of like a drug addict that might be chasing the next high. And in this particular case, when it comes to meditation, it's not about chasing that thing. It's not a specific destination. It really is just about the process of meditating. So meditation, which we're going to get into a little bit with some breathing exercises, is important. And don't think about achieving a specific destination or goal in any of this. Think about being in the moment, right? Just think about clearing out these things. Now, what will happen from time to time is you are going to get distracted. You're going to hear a ding. You're going to think like, oh, I forgot to email or call this person, or I've got to go do this, or my kids are in the background. That's okay. What's important during meditation is for you to come back to a singular focus. You're going to get off of that singular focus, and these things are going to constantly pop out, these little thought bubbles. That's okay for it to happen. Just come back to that singular thing. So for a lot of us, if that's not a mantra, then off with the breathing portion of this. Once we finish the breathing portion of this, we're going to take about a few minutes to just clear everything out and just be at peace and just think about one singular thing. I have a specific mantra. I'm not supposed to share with you what my mantra is. You could think of a mantra, and that mantra, just think of a singular word, something that has a positive vibrancy to it, a positive resonancy to it. Once we finish that meditation portion, then we're going to go to a warm-up sequence, more of an active rest. You guys can follow through. There's no specific rules to it. It's going to be free-flowing. And I'll read one last thing, and then we'll get into the breathing. So I love the analogy that Buddha's brain uses in this process of trying to get rid of some of this negativity and put in the positivity by changing how we think, the neuroplasticity. Remember, our brain's neuroplastic. We can absolutely change it. And it's called pulling weeds and planting flowers. I love that. So to gradually replace negative implicit memories with positive ones, just make the positive aspects of your experience prominent and relatively intense in the foreground of your awareness, while simultaneously placing the negative material in the background. So that's what we're going to do. This thing that we're about to do right now, today, will help you pull the weeds to plant the flowers. So allow this session today to be the prominent, intense level of positive experience today, so that you can simultaneously remove and let go of all of the negative stuff that you might be experiencing or feeling. So later today, with some of the stretches we're going to be doing, I have a yoga strap. Okay, you can order this online. I have a couple yoga blocks. Our blocks are kind of like a cork-like substance from Jade Yoga. This is really heavy. I love it because if I do need it for support, I know that I'm not going to wobble and fall aside and break a wrist or something. And obviously I have a yoga mat. I actually prefer, I'm going to be looking online for, they have mats that are double the size of this width. I need space. This is obviously designed for a yoga studio so that you can stay on your mat. And then of course I have in place here a cloth. So this way, whenever my hands are in a certain position, I don't slip off of the mat. My feet, they do make socks that they're called grippy socks. On the bottom of them, they can help you grip on your mat. I am a sweater. I will sweat from my palms and I will sweat from the bottom of my feet. So that's why I would probably be better served having grippy socks. And I would also be better served having a cloth-like substance to lay down. They also create yoga towels. So you could also use a beach towel at home to lay it out for some of us out there that sweat a good amount. You want to make sure though that it can grip to your mat so it doesn't slide. If you're on a hardwood floor, make sure you have a yoga mat down because you just don't want it to go sliding. It's best though, before you start, make sure that your mat, the surface that you're on, is not slick because you do not want to fall and bust yo ass. All right, so we're first going to start off with breathing exercise. Get in a comfortable position. Don't stress or worry about the position. If you're going to be in this position, you can use a couple of these yoga blocks to rest under your thighs, because what will happen is over time, you're going to feel stress in your hips, and it's okay. This is not about looking like the perfect yoga model in this session, okay? Don't worry about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and place this right underneath here. And what I wanna do is I wanna make sure that I kind of lift my butt cheeks out of the way so I can sit a little bit more upright. And you could rest here, you could rest here, whatever you want to do. So we're just gonna start off with some light stretching. We're gonna go side to side. You don't have to go so aggressively. You can move slowly here, right? We're gonna hold it. And while I'm doing this, while you are doing this and while you're stretching your neck, I want you to also relax the shoulders. Sometimes you're gonna find that you're hiking your shoulders up here. Not a good look. We're not turtles, we're human beings. So you're gonna drop your shoulders all the way down. We're gonna just gently allow our head to fall to the side. While I'm doing this, I am taking a breathe of my mouth. When I'm breathing, I'm gonna breathe simultaneously from my stomach and a little bit from my chest. From my stomach and a little bit from my chest. We're gonna go into another breathing exercise soon, so don't worry, we're gonna zero in on that. We're still gonna stretch. I'm gonna look up, shoulders are down, stretching the front of my neck. Could also take my hands and place them behind me, pointing my fingers to the wall behind to open up my shoulders here. From this position, I'm going through the sequence while I'm stretching, connecting my breathing to the stretches. Unifies everything that we're trying to accomplish here. It unifies the fact that you are trying to breathe in oxygen and get it to the space where you need it the most. Relaxing the shoulders, feeling the stretch as we pull that oxygen in, as we breathe that, we pull that air in to send it to the areas we need to release. Release the tension, release the stress, release the trauma. Breathe in the energy. Breathe in the positive rays of the sun that are out there and exhale the bullshit, okay? So, next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna do a forward stretch, gently sink, just allow your chin. Shoulders are up, not up in the sense here, but your posture is upright. And allow your chin to sink to your chest. A little bit more difficult to breathe in this position, so you can slow the breathing down here. If you haven't noticed, I am breathing in threes. I'm taking 3 deep breaths. I might do it longer, but for the sake of going through this session and allowing you to experience a good flowing session, I'm just taking deep breaths 3 times. I want you to do the same. Now, when it comes to breathing, we're going to do a wrist stretch. You're going to bring the hands back in this position, out in front of you, pulling back. You could breathe out through your nose as well. But in my experience, breathing out through the nose, now I'm turning the fingers down, the hands down, getting a gentle stretch in the back of the wrist, tends to heat up my body compared to when I'm breathing out through my mouth. So if you want your nose, but you will heat up. Maybe that's what you want. Roll out a little bit. You might feel some discomfort in your upper back, your lower back. You can move around. It's free flowing. It's okay. I could be here taking a chill and just rest into this and stretch my forearms and do what is right for you. Don't stress about looking picture perfect. As your practice evolves, at some point you're going to be in certain positions where uh, all right, I'm gonna roll the wrists out a little bit, interlock, roll a little bit. Now what I'm gonna do, and that's the same position, is from this seated position, I can kind of warm up my upper lower back a little bit. My shoulders, I can roll forward, open up, turn your palms up. Right. From that position, not the easiest thing to do. Sometimes in this position, I get a little uncomfortable in the hips. I'm a little out of practice, so please forgive me. So palms will be here, palms facing back. So sometimes in the hips, because you've been in this position, you want to open up a little bit. So we're going to push the hips forward, squeeze your glutes, open up the shoulders, come back. I can do it in this position. I can adjust my hands. You gotta find areas that feel comfortable for you. Flowing, moving in directions, getting a gentle stretch. I bring my gaze to the opposite side of the room, chin down. Feel a stretch through here. Return. Opposite side of the room, chin down. Feel the stretch through here. Roll out those shoulders. Now, reaching forward. Straight up. Reaching forward. Straight up. Reaching forward. Straight up. From this position now, we're warming up your spine, right? You can sink forward, open up. Pull your shoulders back. Now, reach forward. Exhale up. Bring one arm back. Bring your gaze behind you. All right. Now we're getting warmed up a little bit. So remember what I said. There's no rules. If you feel funny in a certain area, you can move, open them up, shake out, right? Now, our feet need some love. Roll out your feet. If they've been crossed, they're going to feel like they've been cut off for a little bit, but roll those ankles, wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers. You might hear a little cracking, and that's okay. Deep breath in. All right. I'm going to pull one leg up, one thigh up. I'm going to bring it across, rest the foot flat on the ground in this position, okay? I'm going to sit upright as much as I can with that leg crossed, okay? I might hold here for now. Take a deep breath in. Reach towards the sky. Come back on the same side behind you. Bring your gaze to the back of the room. Bring this arm across. Bit of a twisting stretch. Deep breath in. Deep breath in. You can do that in a sequence. Continue. Go through that whole process. All right. So we've done some stretches in the seated position. Sit upright as much as you can, trying to get your back straight as much as you can. By now, it might feel a little easier, a little better. Feel it out a little bit. So typically, we would have finished that portion first. But since we're going to already be on our back for some other stretches, might as well do it now. So what you're going to do is you're going to lay on your back all the way, okay? From this position, palms are up, but for the sake of this exercise, I want you to have one hand on the stomach, one hand on the chest. Now, what you want to do is take a deep belly breath in through your nose. Exhale. When I say belly breath, what I mean is I want you to breathe into your hand. So you feel your hand on your belly rise much higher than the hand on your chest. You're going to do this for a total of 10 breaths. Let's connect with your breathing. Inhale as long as you can, slowly. And exhale slowly. Rest your elbows on the ground. Breathe in deep. Release the tension. Now, from this position, you'll turn to your side. Push yourself up carefully. We're going to come to the front of our mat. We'll sit towards the front of the mat. Now, what I want you to do is, from this position, I want you to bring your feet flat on your mat. Mine are on the cloth because I'm sweating a little bit. So we are going to lower slowly. From this position, if you look at my feet, I'm going to put my feet all the way together. My thighs are all the way together. They're closed. And I'm going to keep my heels together and turn my toes out, plant them, and then bring my heels out. So now my feet, my legs are separated. I'm going to turn my toes out, my feet out, plant them, and then my feet are much wider than my hips. And I'm going to let my knees collapse towards each other. And I should feel a stretch here. If you don't feel a stretch here, you might need to put your feet out wider, get them straight, and then allow it to collapse. So from this position, we're just going to take the stretch in the side of our hips. I love this stretch. Deep breath in. Use those belly breaths I just taught you. To intensify this, we can bring one leg over with our heel and hook it onto this thigh and just allow it to pull down a little bit, just a gentle amount. You'll feel a stretch in the side even more, and maybe even through parts of your glute and maybe even a part of your lower back. And just breathe. If you allow the bottom of your foot to come off of the ground and just collapse, you'll feel a stretch through here and your lower back. If you decide to keep your foot straight and pull through it, you'll feel more in that hip capsule. Both are good. So I've done 3 on that side. I'm returning. My feet are wide. I'm resetting. I'm collapsing. I feel the stretch again. I will bring this heel over, hook in, allow the pull to happen, and feel that in my hip capsule. If I keep my lower back down while I'm pulling across, I'll get more of a stretch, a release in the hip capsule. If I allow my butt to come off the floor, I'm going to start feeling in my lower back a little bit. Do what feels comfortable. And if I bring the foot slightly to the side and off the ground on that one side, I start to feel a stretch much higher above my pelvis in this region up here. Part of the QL feels like it's stretching as well. And then we release. After that, it's just good to shake out the legs. Stretch the arms. Lion's breath. Now, what we're going to do from this position is come back to that knee bent posture with the feet flat on the ground. My arms are down and palms are up. And I'm going to bring my feet together, my legs together again, but this time I'm just going to let them fall out to the side. It's up to you. If you like this position, it's really good to release those rotators of the hip. Those muscles sometimes get neglected and they get really tight, so just let the arms fall, let them fall out. If that's too uncomfortable in a resting position, grab your yoga blocks, place them here, and just breathe into this. As it gets easier and you feel the release, push the yoga blocks out and allow your legs to drop further. If you don't need them at all, allow them to drop all the way out to the side and go back to that belly breathing. I recommend a lot of you to stay in that position much longer because it's a great way to realize how much you're holding on to tension. The longer you breathe, it's right what I said in the beginning. I'm turning to my side. Anytime you get up, turn to the side and come back up. It's what I said in the beginning, is anytime you really connect with the breath and allow that breathing to go on and on and on and on, just like in meditation, what happens is you kind of are unfocused. So you think about things. Even when you're training, right, in your strength training exercises, in your burn workout, the cardio workouts, and even in yoga or stretching practices or athletic stretching, whatever you want to call this practice, you will be thinking about something else. And even if you say you're not thinking about something else, you are holding on to something. So it's great to just breathe through each of these exercises, because at a certain point, you have to muscle, even though I don't think I'm holding on to the muscle, and you gotta let go. So how do you let go? The goal is to just let your body fall. Let it fall into the floor. Stop holding on to it in a lot of these positions, like the last one. So what I'm gonna do is just swing my legs back around to the back of the mat, and I am going to place my hands on the cloth here. And I'm going to go into a bit of stretching in this quadruped position. Now, from this position, I'm going to sway my hips back and forth. I'm going to do what feels comfortable. I can do circles, semicircles. I could do full circles all the way around. I can place my hands in this position and push straight down and rock forward and get a stretch in my forearms. I can push back and move into child's pose. Now, this position could be an uncomfortable position for a lot of you because of your knees. You have to find and you have to do what works for you. So you can separate your thighs as wide as the mat is one way and push back so you can give yourself some space. Some of you might need a lot more cushioning underneath the knees, underneath the padding. Rest your forehead on the mat. Reach your arms out really long. Send your butt back towards the earth. Try to move your armpits down towards your mat. Rest in this position a bit. Now, in this position, I will try to get my left armpit towards the mat a little bit more and look through the opposite side. And then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Right armpit down and look through the opposite side. I can walk across the mat a little bit and feel a stretch. I'm going to glue my right palm into the ground and feel a stretch and pull my body back so I can feel a stretch through this side of my body. And then I will finger tiptoe across again to the opposite side of the mat. Plant my palm down and pull my body back and feel a stretch through the left side of my rib cage, my armpit, my lats, my QLs. That's good. Walking back. Now, from this position, we're going to come back up onto all fours, okay? So now what we're going to do is, after you've gone through your rocking motions, stretching the forearms a little bit more, stretching the back a little bit more, now we're going to come up, tuck the toes under. We're going to come up off of the knees, and we're going to pedal. Kick our feet a little bit, stretching our calves back and forth. So we're stretching our calves back and forth. I'm pushing back. My butt is pushing back towards the wall and the ceiling behind me. My fingers are spread apart, and I'm just warming up my calves. If you get tired holding your body up, you can come out of it, shake off your arms a little bit. We're coming back again. So I start in plank position. Hands are underneath my scapula. I can slightly bend my knees, send my hips back, and pedal now. So my butt's a little higher. I'm looking between my feet. My calves need to be warmed up. So this is what we want to do to start. So in your athletic stretching practice, another way to stretch those calves is to just keep them there. We're going to come forward and back. High plank position, push back to downward facing dog is what it's called in the yogi world. I could pedal kick there. I could drop my knees. I could sway my hips side to side in this position, get a little bit more stretch in my hamstrings and in my hips. I could come back forward. I could come out of it, roll my shoulders, stretch my neck a little bit,
I can move back into it. A little bit more for the calves. Bend the knees, push the hips back. Bit of a flow now if you're ready for that. Now, you could still be pedaling and kicking. You can still be stretching the wrists out a bit, whatever's comfortable for you. So we're going to go through a light flow today, a little bit of a beginner flow, something that a lot of people can do, and I'm going to do a couple variations of them. So if this is your first time, don't worry. We're going to start with the beginner variation, and then we'll move to a more intermediate variation of this. So what we're going to do from this position here is we're going to come up to high plank position. This is number one. We are going to push the hips back. Make sure you have good grip. Your heels can be on the floor if you want. You can straighten your legs out as much as you can. But the idea is to try to get your back in neutral as much as you can. Send it back. Try not to round the back too much. What we're going to do from this position is we are going to come forward into plank, step the hand up as high as you can, the foot up as high as you can, right in between the hands. From this position, take your time. All we're going to do from this position is we are going to step the other foot up. We're going to straighten the legs out, relax. We're going to send the hips back as much as we can, and we are going to raise up that Y position towards the side, squeeze the glutes, reach back just a little bit, take a deep breath in here, exhale, arms out, fold down, release, okay? From this position, all you are going to do is slide up the shins, straighten the back out, push the hips back, and fold again. Beautiful. Now, from this position, you can walk back slowly. Do that step first. And we find ourselves in this high plank position again. From this position, we are going to push the hips back. It's a downward facing dog again. Try to get the back straight. Push the hips back. You can still pedal. Do what's right for you. Push back. Big step with the right side. Now, if you're at home and all of this is hard because you have a hard time reaching, you have blocks that you can use, that you could grab, okay? If you're having a hard time. So hands are on the floor. We're in this position. From this position, we're just going to step the left foot to meet the right foot. From this position, we can pedal. You can do whatever you need to in this position. We are going to slide the hands up the shins, hips back. We are going to come back down. We're going to reach all the way up towards the ceiling. Deep breath in, squeeze the glutes. Exhale, arms out to the side. Let it go. We're going to slide up the shins again, straighten that out. Let it go. Now, another way to move back instead of stepping back is you can just take one big step back instead of small steps. We're back in high plank position. Push back to downward facing dog. Big step up. Right foot meets left foot. Come up. Reach towards the sky. Exhale. Fold. Left foot, right foot. Downward facing dog. Right foot forward. Left foot forward. Reach high. Fall towards the earth. Hips back. Let go. Straighten your back out. Let it go. Loosen up. Hands connect with the floor again. If you want to, you can jump back. From this position, hips back. Left foot meets right foot. From this position, right foot meets left foot. Coming up. Exhale. There is no right, there is no wrong. Slide up the shin, straighten the back. Exhale. Right foot back, left foot back. Downward facing dog. Right foot between. Left foot meets right foot. Relax. Slide. Reach high. Fall hips back. Relax the arms. Shake it out. Okay. So, we did a little bit of beginner flow. So what we can do in this position now is we can return, all right? Or you could sit all the way down to return to the mat. So you choose how you want to get back, okay? We're gonna add another flow to this, okay? We'll add another movement. Some of you out there are probably very familiar with it. If you're not, it's okay. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, don't do it. Just take a stretch that feels comfortable. All right, so we're gonna do one or maybe two sequences of this. So starting from high plank position, we are going to push the hips back, send the hips back. You could bend the knees, send the hips back. Left foot right between the hands. From this position, we are going to right foot meets left foot. You're going to turn to the sky. Exhale, fall forward. We are going to either step back or jump back. From this position, we are going to lower to the earth. Keep your elbows in slowly. Bring your upper body up, shoulders down. Untuck your toes. Look back. Tuck your toes under. Send your right foot. Then we're going to return back to the sky. And fall. From this position, you can step back or jump back. From this position, you can place your knees down. Okay? If you place your knees down, then you could take that dive. And from this position, untuck the toes, push back, downward facing dog. Okay, so those are two ways that you could do that motion. I'm pedaling my calves. Now my calves are just starting to get warmed up. I'm sending my hips back as much as I can, straightening my arms out, trying to keep my back straight. Big step forward from this position. I take another step forward from this position. Straighten my back out, return to the sky, reach up, squeeze the glutes. Exhale, fall all the way down. From this position, I am either going to step back or walk back. It's up to you. So we can step back in plank position. From this position, we can start all over again. Slowly lower either on the knees or off of the knees. Keep the hips up either way. Roll forward, shoulders down, toes untucked. Tuck the toes under. From this position, on my knees, I could drive back and then push back to downward facing dog. Or if I had lowered from here, right? From here, I can just push straight back to downward facing dog. All right. Right foot forward, left foot forward, up. And slowly roll your spine back up, palms forward. Okay, we keep doing this every single Sunday, okay? Sunday spiritual. Now, what we will do to finish this was a little bit of a beginner stretching sequence. So what we'd love for you to do is to keep tuning in and keep working on this athletic stretching practice, okay? This meditative practice, this breathing practice, whatever you identify with. So what is really important, by the way, we're going to finish off with some other stretches. What is really important is for you to kind of dwell and think about, focus, meditate about what can an active rest day like this do for you. What positives can possibly come out of this? So what we normally see in people's everyday average lives that do train is that they're way too tight, and you guys sometimes are way too tense, and you want to just go, go, go and push and just do high intensity work, but you are neglecting some of the most crucial aspects of your fitness, which is having enough flexibility and the right amount of strength, the right amount of mobility all together. And of course, there are other functions of fitness. So now what we're going to do is we're just going to do some hip stretching or some leg, hamstring, quad stretching, laying down, and then we're going to wind down with the breathing again, and then back into meditation. Okay, so some really nice stretches that we can do on our backside for our hips is both knees are bent. We're going to cross one side over. This is a modified pigeon pose, or you can call it a pigeon pose on your backside. And we're going to reach through this hole, this triangle that I've created here. We're going to reach through, and we're going to pull this back gently. Head is resting. Now, I should feel a stretch right here, okay? You can hold that longer. Cross over to the other side. It's called a figure four because this is in the shape of a four. We're going to grab underneath again, rest the head, deep breath in. From this position, I am going to turn to my side carefully. Both of my legs are straight. I'm going to bring this back. I'm going to lay the thigh all the way down, and we're doing a quad stretch, okay? We want the front of this hip to be as straight as possible. So you don't want to crouch your body and try to stretch your quad. We want the legs straight, both of them in line with each other, and then stretch the quad. And now we'll do the other side. All right. Nice. Now, we're all sitting up. We've met this together. Move your arms. Do what you need to do in this position. Now, what I would like for you to do at home at this point is for you to hopefully turn the lights low, okay? What I'm going to do is I just want to bring your attention back to your breathing and just give you a little bit of a message.
And go ahead and get set up for that. And let's get ready for this meditation. So, as you meditate, I want you to bring yourself to your mat in a comfortable seated position where you could be on your back doing your breathing exercise, whatever's comfortable for you, you do it. So, you're going to start with your breaths. You're going to take a deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. Deep breath in through your nose. Exhale out through your mouth. In our search for happiness, love, continue to breathe, continue to meditate, close your eyes, and wisdom. It's important for us to always take care of ourselves. So there's a difference between being selfish and taking care of yourself so that you can take others. If you are not healthy and if you are not happy and if you are feeling unfulfilled in your life, it can be very difficult for you to keep pushing forward, to keep moving forward, to help others and to be there for others. Those others might be your kids, those others might be your spouse, your whoever you're in a relationship with. And at a certain point, you might start to feel like you're losing pieces or, yourself completely because you've been giving so much. You're constantly giving, 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 giving. Now, we are not living a life, you are not living a life where, you are in this constant state of need, right, from others, where you want to take from others. But it's important for you to identify what is healthy for yourself while still being cognizant of being able to have and hold a healthy relationship with others, right? Very fine line between being selfish and serving yourself so that you can serve others. And it's something that a lot of us that you ultimately need so that you could be there to experience everything that you want to experience while enjoying it with others, right? Being mindful of that, being aware of that. So the thing for today, the overall theme, even though there are many themes for today, is loving yourself is important, okay? Loving yourself and discovering who you are and knowing who you are is absolutely important. For those of you that have achieved that, many blessings to you. Be aware that if you have achieved that, a lot of times others that aren't in that place do not need to be told what they need to do. What they need is for someone to listen, hear what their pains are, and ask permission if you can help them, right? Ask permission if you can possibly provide a couple choices or a couple little moments of reflection or solutions that you think might help them. So if I'm an individual that is not happy, or I am not experiencing love, or I don't feel fulfilled, then it might be you, right? Need to figure out what is it that I truly want in this life? What is it that I truly love in this life? What do I have in life? What am I appreciative of in this life? But before you can do that, you have to absolutely express self-love, right? What do I love? What do I appreciate about myself? And it's hard to do that when I was talking about earlier, which was, we are threat-seeking organisms and our brains are wired to just constantly look for negative everywhere we go. There's no difference between me, you, or anybody else out there. We are wired to look for the negative so that we can protect ourselves. But unfortunately, as we go through life, a lot of times we see a lot of things that we think we want, and we say, because I don't have that, and that's what looks like happiness, there's something wrong with me, right? Or there's something that I don't have, right? Whether it's somebody that might be in a relationship and they're constantly posting things and it looks like they have an amazing life and everything, and then some individuals look at that and say, I don't have that, I must be worth less because I can't attract that into my life, right? We need to ultimately love ourselves for who we are, what we have, and that could be a long soul searching process for some. Feel that you've achieved that and you don't need this. If you've achieved it, what I want you to do, your call to action for you, is to not give anyone advice. Don't tell anybody what to do because you're not helping anybody by doing that. If you're going to do that, what you need to do first, if you actually absolutely care because you figured it out, is you need to listen to the pain. You need to listen to your friend. You need to listen to your spouse. You need to listen to whoever it is, your client, your coach, your trainer, whoever, it doesn't matter who they are. Listen to them. Hear what the pain is. Sit on that. Dwell on that. Empathize on that. And then, if you truly have something of value to share after you've listened, after you've thought about it for a while, and you truly have something of value to share that you think might move that person forward, then you must ask permission to that person. Here's what that looks like. Hey, I was thinking about what you said the other day, and I don't know if you're okay with it. With your permission, here are a couple things that I was thinking of. They might work, they might not work, but here are a couple things. Would you like to hear them? This is really important in coaching because whether it's training in a studio or at home, whether it's life coaching, whether it's right movement coaching, whatever it is, whatever type of executive leadership coaching, if you do not have permission from the other individual to give you the choices or the advice, that person will never ever accept it as their own and they will never do it. It's just noise. It's like, okay, yeah, that's great advice, but I didn't ask you for it, right? The person could be in so much pain and say like, oh, I'm suffering this, I don't know what to do, this, I don't know what to do that. You give the person some information. The person looks at the information and determines like, all right, but you don't understand, this doesn't help me, because always ask for permission, because when I or anybody else gives you permission to give me the advice, I and all those individuals be so much more likely to accept that thought, dwell on that thought, and possibly take action on it. Individuals will never take action on the advice that you give them when it's unsolicited, when they're not asking you for advice. And understand the difference between advice, someone looking for advice, and someone that's just looking to vent. Someone who's just looking for someone, key here is to empathize with what they are going through. So right now, a lot of people are going through a lot, and it's important for us all to express and develop and understand what that empathy is. My hearts go out to every single person that is affected by what is going on in the world today, what is going on in your life today. So again, I would love for you to get this book called Buddha's Brain. Buddha's Brain, the practical neuroscience of happiness, love, and wisdom. After that time I told you about earlier, in which I went to transcendental meditation, learned that process, and it was amazing what it did. Just a couple of points on that, which is one, when you are trying to achieve something in yoga, whether it's because you just want to get more physically fit, or you want more flexibility, or you're trying to experience less pain, or you want to achieve a higher level of enlightenment, know that it's not about the destination. It's not about the goal specifically. It is about being in. It's one thing that's just so beautiful about meditation and about yoga, because it's implied. I mean, I'm sure in our society, a lot of people kind of lost that and they just treat it as this thing, this commercial product. But for me, it's implied that the practice of yoga and the practice of meditation is a practice, it's a lifelong thing. The same way, though, for me, I approach that with strength training and with cardiovascular fit and do because it's a practice. It's something that helps me keep my brain function, helps me keep my heart function, helps me keep my immunity up, helps me keep my spirits up. Very important. Buddha's Brain, when I read this book, provided so much more understanding into the scientific aspect of what was happening in meditation that I was experiencing that I couldn't experience when I was thinking I was traveling out of my body. It really is what's happening inside of our brain. It's amazing. And in yoga practice, there was a moment where in Shavasana, that's where you're laying down on the mat and you're in your final resting pose. And when the yoga instructor says to you, slowly let go, slowly fade away. In that moment, for the first time in my life, out of all the yoga sessions I've ever done, I faded away and I went somewhere. And the experience was crazy. I literally felt like my soul was detaching from my body. I was being released from my body. And in that moment, I kept thinking, like, I'm light, I'm floating, I am uncontained, I am free, I am liberated. I no longer have to be inside of this shell. And then from a distance, I heard a voice say, come back, come back, come back. Wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes. And in that moment, it was like, that's right. I was in yoga class, I have to go back. And in that moment, I started to come back into my body. And in the transition of coming back into my body was the most surreal experience. I remember thinking these thoughts, Hank. And the third thought was, you have to live inside of this? And it was as if one part of my brain had said, like, another part of my brain or experience was saying, this is not you. You have a whole nother side of you. And you have to go back into this other side of you. But as quickly as it had happened, I was quickly out of it. I was like, right back into my body. And it was like, it's fine. I'm in my body. We're good. We're cool again. I don't feel like a tank. I don't feel like I'm imprisoned in this shell as I felt when I went to that different part of the brain. So what is the point? This practice of meditation, this practice of breathing, and this practice of yoga can really help you deepen your experience in life. You'll get all of those amazing benefits. Since then, I never experienced that again, unfortunately. But remember, it's not about chasing that high. It's not about chasing that space, that transcending experience that you have. So after that, I found this book, which explained exactly what I experienced, about what happens in the brain. And it's been really great to be able to share this with you. I hope you guys get the book, Buddha's Brain. Next Sunday, I'm going to be doing this again. We're going to have a little bit more of an intense flow with some variations of that flow. And we'll start off with the warm up. We'll go into the flow. We're going to finish off with the wind down of the stretching exercises. And of course, we are going to include moments where we are meditating and we're focusing on our breathing. Beautiful. The light inside of me recognizes the light inside of you. Stay positive. Whatever you achieved or you gained from this experience here today, I hope you take it out there with you into the rest of the world. And when we get back to our schedule, I hope you're able to continue on and take it into your regular training experiences when it comes to strength, when it comes to